I'm Thomas Kemple at the University of British Columbia in Canada, here to tell you about my TCS article, A Century After Weber and Simmel. In an earlier issue of TCS, I translated and wrote an essay on Weber's pivotal intervention in a discussion on technology and culture at the meetings of the first conference of German sociologists in 1910. And I've also edited and co-edited two special sections in TCS on Simmel, which included translations of some of his writings for the avant-garde Art Nouveau journal Jugend. And since then, I've published a couple of books, one on Weber, the intellectual work and the spirit of capitalism with Palgrave, and this one by Polity in 2018. In this piece, I take a broader and retrospective view of both these giants of early sociology than I do in my books by considering what we might learn from them today, a century after their deaths. Weber died in 1920, Simmel in 1918. The occasion is the recent completion of Weber's collected works, the Max-Weber-Gesamtausgabe, and so my remarks are framed as a review essay of two of the last volumes to be published. There are 47 volumes in all. One on the logic and methodology of the social sciences, which include writings from 1900 to 1907. And a second volume on interpretive sociology and freedom from value judgments, writings from 1908 to 1920. What surprised me about these writings, many of which have not been published before, is how Weber sustained a career-long engagement with Simmel's writings and is clearly indebted to him for the initial formulation of some of his key ideas, including that of Verstehen, or interpretive sociology. Simmel's importance is especially evident not just in Weber's many interventions in scholarly conferences or from his drafts and working notes, which are included in these volumes, but also in the three canonical essays that in many ways define Weber's original contribution to sociology. One, The Objectivity of Knowledge in Social Science and Social Policy, an essay from 1904. Two, On Some Categories of Interpretive Sociology, published in 1913. And three, The Meaning of Value Freedom in the Sociological and Economic Sciences, from 1917. My essay is framed in terms of how both Weber and Simmel often looked back a century to the poet, playwright, and natural philosopher Goethe for inspiration in guiding the present and future of philosophy and social science, just as we might look to Weber and Simmel 100 years ago for a sense of how social and cultural theory today must approach new problems and topics in a different light. Even or especially in those places where they disagree with one another, I suggest, their struggle to express and think for themselves freely provides us with a useful model for scholarly work in an age of national conflicts and global capitalism. Or in the words of Mephistopheles to a young student in Goethe's Faust, Bedenkt, der Teufel, der ist alt, so werdet alt, ihn zu verstehen. Consider, the devil is old, so grow old to understand him.